Most back injury claims are not worth much money. I'll explain why and what you can do to get the biggest payout possible. To explain the first reason that most back injury claims result in very small settlements, let's look at a case where Odalis and Manuel were passengers in a car. A friend was driving the car in Florida. Another driver wasn't paying attention and crashed into the back of the car that Odalis and Manuel were in. The hard impact caused Manuel and Odalis to get thrown forward and then backwards. Manuel and Odalis had back pain and other pains, so paramedics were called. An ambulance took them to the hospital. At the hospital, a doctor examined their backs and bodies and took a CT scan. Fortunately, neither of them had any broken bones. We learned that Auto Club South AAA insured the driver who crashed into them. That driver's bodily injury liability insurance, which is called BI coverage, was $25,000 per person. This meant that the most that AAA insurance would owe any one person for their personal injury claim was $25,000. This is true no matter how serious Odalis or Manuel's injury was. The driver who rear-ended them had a $50,000 per accident limit. This meant that the most that AAA would owe Odalis, Manuel, and the driver of their car combined was $50,000. I represented Manuel and Odalis. There was limited insurance and 3 people who had potential claims. So I put pressure on AAA to pay Odalis and Manuel each the $25,000 BI coverage limit. Like most insurance companies, AAA took its time deciding what its next step was. Odalis and Manuel decided that they didn't want to get any more treatment for their back injury. So basically their treatment consisted of the following: taking an ambulance to the hospital due to back pain and other pain, and having a CT scan of their back and other body parts at the hospital. This is the first reason that most back injury claims aren't worth much money. It's that most people don't get a lot of medical treatment for their back injury. If you have limited medical treatment for your back injury from an accident, don't expect a big settlement. The insurance company will assume that you aren't badly injured if you don't get much medical treatment. They assume this because they know that juries assume this too. Expecting a big payout if you get limited medical treatment for your back is like waiting for a shooting star in a cloudy sky. In fact, if you complain of back pain and go to the emergency room, the hospital will give you papers when you're let out from the hospital. And those papers will likely say that your back pain should go away within just a few days. And that's the truth. In most instances, back pain is just temporary, but in some cases, your back pain doesn't go away. Manuel and Odalis were lucky that the driver who hit them had $25,000 per person in BI coverage. In many cases, the other driver or company will be uninsured or only have $10,000 in BI insurance coverage. And this is the second reason why most back injury claims aren't worth much money. I told AAA that I wanted to know what assets their insured driver had. They ended up hiring a lawyer. I believe that there were 2 reasons which combined together caused AAA to hire a lawyer. The first reason was there were 3 potential claims against their insured driver. And the second reason was that their insured's BI limit was only $25,000 per person. I told AAA Insurance that if they didn't pay the $25,000 BI limits to Odalis and $25,000 to Manuel, I'd sue their driver for more than the combined $50,000 limits. But why would AAA care about me suing their insured driver? They care because they have a duty to act in good faith to settle when they could and should. If they don't act in good faith, I could sue and potentially get a verdict at trial for above the insurance limits. If that happens, then their insured driver can sue AAA for the difference. Some insurance companies, like AAA in this case, don't want to get sued. Others don't care as much. You see, the more claims that an insurance company faces against their driver when the policy limits are low, the more pressure they face to settle. This is because there is a greater chance that at least one of the claims will be worth more than the policy limits. Here, there were 3 potential claims against AAA's insured, but that's not the case with most car or truck accidents or other accident cases. Most accidents involve only 1 or 2 claims against the at-fault driver or company. And with less claims for minor back injuries from an accident, the insurance company doesn't face pressure to settle. And when an insurance company doesn't face pressure to settle, they don't make your case a priority. You really can't blame the claims adjuster for not giving your claim more attention. They likely have at least 75 other claims that they're working on at any given time. And some of those claims will be for injuries that are more serious than your back injury. The more serious an injury is, the higher the full value of the case for settlement purposes. This means that the insurance adjuster will pay more attention to their other more serious claims instead of your minor back injury claim. In this case, the third person who was in the car with Odalis and Manuel didn't make a claim. So after I made several demands to settle and applied intense pressure, I got AAA to pay the $25,000 BI limits to Manuel and $25,000 to Odalis. They were thrilled. Another reason that AAA paid us the $25,000 limit per person is because the car that Manuel and Odalis were in was massively damaged in the car accident. All things equal, the more damage that there is to the car that you were in during the accident, the more your back injury claim is worth. This is because the insurance company knows that a jury is more likely to think that your back injury was caused by the accident if the car that you were in was badly damaged. But in most car accidents, there isn't much damage to the car that you're in, and that usually results in a much smaller payout for your back injury. You may be thinking,
I thought you said that most back injury claims aren't worth much, but a $25,000 settlement is a lot of money.
yes, it's true that a $25,000 settlement for an ambulance ride to the hospital and CAT scans at the hospital is quite a bit of money. However, in most cases where you're claiming a back injury without a fracture or herniated disc, your claim is worth much less than $25,000. Here, AAA eventually did the right thing and paid the $25,000 per person insurance limits. AAA is an average auto insurance company. The problem is that in your back injury claim, you aren't likely to be dealing with AAA. There's a high chance that you'll be dealing with Progressive or Allstate or another terrible car insurance company, and they won't be as generous as AAA. Insurance companies like Progressive and Allstate have funny commercials, and you see their ads everywhere, so you know that they have loads of money. But I assure you that the last thing that you want is to have a back injury that is caused by someone who Allstate, Progressive, or another bad insurance company insures. They are really cheap when it comes to paying pain and suffering and medical bills in most back injury claims. Expecting a large payout from a cheap insurer for your minor back injury claim is like waiting for a snowball in the middle of summer. So the third reason why most back injury claims aren't worth much money is that your claim will likely be against a cheap insurance company. Another problem with insurance companies in most back injury claims is that they are going to paperwork you to death. They're likely going to ask you to send them your past 5 or 10 years of medical records. They're looking to see if before this accident you complained of back pain. And if they find complaints of back pain before your current accident, they'll likely use this as a reason to offer you less money. Insurance companies also know that when they ask for your past records, some people will give up on their back injury claims. But I have some good news for you. There's a tactic that the most experienced lawyers use in back injury cases to help them get bigger settlements. And you can and should use it too. To find out what this very effective tactic is, watch the video on screen or click on the link in the description below. And if you seriously injured your back in an accident in Florida or on a cruise and you think that someone else may be at fault, click the link in the description below to see if I could be the attorney for you.